So as you guys know, EA have flown me out to LA, and I'm here to take a look at some of the new content that is coming to Battlefield 5, and this video is therefore brought to you by EA GameChangers. Now, if you were watching the EA Play livestream, you will have noticed that some pretty big announcements have come along, and whilst some of you will have been expecting a little more gameplay, especially when it came to the Chapter 5 content, there are some pretty interesting things that have been shown off to the public. Now, a little later today, I will be going to go to the EA Play Palladium and checking out some of the content they've got there. Now, I'll be making more videos on that and actually bringing some gameplay to the channel of some of the new things coming to the game, which is very exciting. But in this video, I'm going to go over the Chapter 4 Defying the Odds content and then take a look at some of the little things that DICE have showcased when it comes to Chapter 5. Now again, these are highlights. I'm showcasing gameplay in the background that is not from this. It's actually the only thing I had saved on my laptop, so it's some fairly old content, but you will be seeing screenshots and concept art and a couple of clips from the stream that DICE have shown us at this EA Play event. It's very exciting stuff because it might only be concept art, but it's the stuff that people wanted to see. And you can tell that the community get excited about this because even a sound like the ping from a M1 Garand will make everybody think that that's coming to the game, and then everybody gets excited. So concept art is often enough to set that hype train rolling. So starting out with Chapter 4, and that is of course what we'll be receiving soon. Chapter 5 will be coming after that. Al Sudan, desert fights on a vast new map. Now this one is ticking the box for more maps, and we're also going to be seeing fresh fighting grounds, which is exactly what people want. They don't want the same thing regurgitated again and again. They want a different theatre, and whilst we have seen some things in North Africa when it comes to the desert, this one is based on the single player war story Under No Flag, and it has been adapted to play for multiplayer. Now if you ever played the single player war story Under No Flag, you'll note that there's quite a few different aspects to the map. You've got different settings, including a small river basin type thing with a bit of water, which could be interesting for tank gameplay, although it is quite open. Then you've got the hangar section and then a couple of towns. It has been optimized, as I said, for all-out multiplayer action. The devs have been working hard to make sure that it will play differently to the single player, because you can't just take a single player map and then there you go, it's ready for multiplayer. It does take some optimization, and they've had time to do that, so hopefully this one will play very well. They do mention that the location focuses on large distances and vehicle-based gameplay, with battles across all ranges. Now this is interesting, and it does remind me of some of the Battlefield 4 maps, namely Silk Road, which wasn't everybody's cup of tea, but it was very popular. So I'm hoping that Al Sudan can replicate some of that and hopefully be one of these more sandbox-based maps where lots of people can get up to lots of different things. It's classic Battlefield, if you like, and I can't wait to go and play it. Merita is the map that I'm probably most excited for coming in July. Now the reason I'm excited for this one is because it's infantry focused, and infantry maps are something that really tick a lot of boxes for me in BF5. I feel like the vehicle gameplay isn't exactly what I wanted, but the infantry is pretty fun. So having an infantry only map, or at least infantry focused, is going to be ticking a lot of those boxes for me. Now following the release of Mercury, the map that you've probably all been playing on Battlefield 5, the Battle of Greece will continue with Merita. Now here you'll deploy on a sloping mountain ridge, and if you've watched the live stream, the EA Play live stream, they did go through this with a bit of a description. And I think the main thing to take from it is that it's going to be a sloping mountain ridge with lots of tight streets in a rural setting. And this reminds me of some of the Bad Company 2 Rush maps, which is a pretty interesting thing to think about, because whilst Rush has been in BF5 and been taken away, it could be that this one brings some of that settings back, and whether they stick Rush on there I'm not too sure, but it could be a really interesting one. Now as I mentioned, Merita is an infantry focused map where all 4 soldier classes will be able to shine, or at least that's what DICE say. I think maybe we will be seeing a lot of assault players making use of the destruction in Battlefield 5, and buildings will just be getting collapsed and destroyed everywhere. Tanks and aircraft will stand aside for intense infantry gunfights and sneaky flanks in the cobbled streets. Again, this could really play well for some of those Battlefield 5 infantry-based modes. Even grind could come back and be good for this. So when RSP comes around, which is something else they have announced and said will be available to everybody, it's possible that Marita could be on a custom infantry-focused rotation. Now for something that I'm excited for, but for probably all the wrong reasons, it's Operation Underground. This is, of course, Metro. Essentially, fans of the classic Operation Metro map will be excited for this. I'm one of those people that I think Metro has a place in Battlefield. I can have fun on it, mainly on Battlefield 3, but sometimes it can be one of those maps where you're like, I don't want to play this, it's not for me. But you do see thousands of people online, and this will be the same with Battlefield 5 and Operation Underground. They just want to get online and they want to play the grindfest that is Metro. It's of course inspired by the fan favourite Battlefield 3 map, Operation Metro, and they're hoping to deliver tight infantry focused action with more flexibility and new fun ways to get around. The areas will be diverse and different playstyles will be supported as you fight through the urban streets, courtyards and plaza area, service tunnels, train platforms and even more. Now this one's coming in October, so there's a long wait before you get to play it, but I'm sure that time will pass fairly quickly with the new content that DICE are bringing to the game in between now and then. The interesting thing with Operation Underground, and whilst we've only seen a couple of clips and a little bit of concept art, I would say that it's one of the maps that you can be pretty certain will take a lot from the previous games that have had Operation Metro in, so Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, and I suppose you could say Battlefield 1 with some of the more infantry focused maps, although it wasn't necessarily Operation Metro. And DICE seem to be really good at this. This is what they excel at, these maps that are just pure clusters of infantry engagements. Everyone's in a close quarters environment and it can be a lot of fun. And as someone who has a top play show, I think Operation Metro will be absolutely fantastic, or at least Operation Underground, as they look to give it a slightly different name. Now, in addition to those maps, we have got two new close quarter maps. Destroy an explosive production factory in Lofoten Islands, and you can also unseat the Axis occupation in Province. Within Chapter 4, Defying the Odds, two new and intense close quarter maps are coming to Battlefield 5, and by popular demand, DICE are bringing more maps to players craving tighter types of multiplayer, and these maps will be specially tailored for intimate infantry combat. The new battlefields will challenge your squads in unique ways. Teamwork, skill and adaptation are your keys to victory. 5v5 modes, especially with RSP, could be very popular, and whilst I think DICE are in danger of going down another incursion sort of route with something that has a lot of work and time and energy put into it with very little coming out the other side, I think Battlefield 5 is one of those games that excels at infantry gameplay, and having something a little more tailored towards those infantry players, such as a 5v5 mode or even maps that could play well for squad conquest. I'm not too sure what DICE plan to put on these close quarter maps. We could be seeing something that is very popular. Now for those Firestorm fans, there are a few ongoing improvements to that mode, and DICE are keen to keep bringing updates to Firestorm. Regular updates, as they say, will be coming across both maps and systems. The first update will unveil new weapons, custom skins, squad respawn, improvements to the loot system and matchmaking, and a brand new landmark called the Dome. And this is dropping in mid-June, so just around the corner. Finally, Battlefield 5 has been added to the Vault, which is a pleasant announcement for anybody playing on EA Access and Origin Access Vault. From June 8th, you'll be able to play this game through the Vault, and it will also be available through EA Access on PlayStation 4 when that launches next month. Now moving on to Chapter 5, and we'll talk about this for just a little bit because it wasn't something that they really gave a load of information away about, and we do know a lot about what's coming in Chapter 5 anyway, but mainly what I would say is that they have confirmed 3 maps will be coming with Chapter 5 initially, and that's what they said during the live stream, initially, so we can expect more to come after that. I would say that it was a little underwhelming not seeing the gameplay, but as we know, the Pacific Theatre is coming to Battlefield 5, and as it is a part of Battlefield's DNA, as we've seen it with Battlefield 1942, it can be something you can get very excited about, because the team, they know what they're doing with this sort of stuff. They've been out to the locations, as they do with all of the maps, or most of the maps that they try and create, and they know what the community wants. And they've had a long time to put this together. As Battlefield 5 came out, people said, where are the Pacific maps? They've had all that time to put them together. I think you can be very excited for what's coming with the Pacific Theatre in Chapter 5. So hopefully you enjoyed this quick update video. If you did watch the live stream, you probably know all of this already, but for the majority of people that didn't and they wanted it condensed to around 10-15 minutes of concise information, that's what I've tried to do for you here. Hopefully you've been able to put up with the poor gameplay and audio footage, because I am recording this from a hotel room, so it's difficult to get my setup in the same sort of quality and condition as at home. But still, hopefully you found it useful. If you did, let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch up with you with some more gameplay in the next video.